Hi, I'm Ms. Del Cortivo.
I'm Ms. Fercantino.
I'm Mr. Zielik, and we're the counselors at Liberty Middle School.
Death is a natural part of life, and many children will experience the death of a loved one. Grief is a natural reaction to loss, no matter what age. Approximately 5% of children experience the death of a parent, and 90% experience the death of a family member of a close friend by the time they finish high school. Society has an unrealistic expectation that children and youth get over death in a fixed period amount of time, roughly 6 months to a year. Children grieve, but all too often they do not get the opportunity to express their feelings openly. In fact, children's return to school was often challenging, with school personnel and peers not knowing how to respond to them once they returned to school. Children felt ignored, isolated, embarrassed, uncertain, and different, and they thought that their schools gave them little to no support. As school counselors, we can create a safe and supportive place for students. It is important for school counselors to establish trust and rapport with grieving students and their families, and to also acknowledge the needs of grieving students in order to help them cope with their loss.
Reactions after a loss may include a decline in school performance and difficulty mastering new academic material. These losses affect the child's behavior and performance in school. Students often miss classes, do not complete assignments, do poor quality work, exhibit rebellious behavior, or withdraw into depression. Children may be shocked, sad, angry, childish, or frightened. They may have suppressed their emotions and therefore be more susceptible to unresolved grief. Children who are actively grieving have difficulty concentrating and retaining information, difficulty sleeping and eating, which causes them to be exhausted throughout the school day. They become withdrawn from the separation in their family, which results in school avoidance. Some possible behavioral changes include social regression, irritability, and self-centeredness. Older children might act out or engage in risky behavior and substance abuse.
It is crucial for counselors and teachers to be sensitive to individuals who have experienced death and other significant losses in their lives. These children need support and reassurance. They may assume a mask of independence and give the impression that they are coping quite well, when in reality they are not. Bereaved children integrate grief with everyday tasks such as attending school, playing, and extracurricular activities. Therefore, to an adult, it may appear that the child has moved beyond the loss when in fact the child is still grieving. Children who receive compassion, understanding, and early intervention can heal and grow from the bereavement experience. Provide a safe and supportive environment where children can express their emotions or ask questions. Sometimes when children sense their parents are having trouble coping, they keep their questions and concerns of their own to themselves. Children might be more comfortable speaking with a school counselor or school staff due to the fact that there is more emotional distance in this type of relationship as opposed to the emotional bond between parent and child.
School counselors should recognize the trauma experienced by children who have suffered the loss of a loved one. By choosing to say nothing, you are communicating to the child that what has happened is too awful to speak about, that you don't care, or that you are not a source of support. To help students effectively cope with death, counselors must know something of the child's worlds of thoughts and feelings about death. Be willing and open to speaking to children about death and the natural, normal feelings of grief. Establish trust and rapport with grieving students and their families. It is important to realize that no two adults and no two children are alike in the grieving process. The coping and grieving process is different for everyone. There is no right or wrong way to grieve. And as a counselor, be aware of your own grief triggers.
As school counselors, we should help link children or their families to support or resources within the community. We should help the child gain access and make arrangements to transportation if needed, so they do not have to switch schools or quit extracurricular activities, because after a loss in the family, oftentimes families must relocate or move in with the loved ones. As school counselors, we should guide in-service trainings for teachers and staff on the topic of student grief. We should assist the child to identify grief triggers, encourage the child to talk to teachers about those triggers, and facilitate a plan for a safe place to go when they feel overwhelmed in class. Students should be offered additional supports such as tutoring or participating in mentoring programs to assist them in maintaining their academic progress before academic failure occurs, which would represent an additional stressor. Counselors should monitor students' adjustment over time, not just during the first year of grief. We should be encouraging and hopeful. We should assure students that even though it does not appear so now, that things will get better. We should assure them that eventually they can remember the person they have lost without hurting so much. Also, allowing them to talk about the loved one, as well as giving them time to heal and being reassuring and caring as possible. Lastly, we should encourage students to remember the good times and to cherish them. We should assure them that those memories can never be taken away.
We suggest encouraging students to get involved in any preparation for funeral or memorial services. Include grieving students in support groups to connect them with other children experiencing similar thoughts and feelings. Check out this video about creative interventions that can be used to help children articulate their thoughts and feelings about grief and loss in nonverbal ways.
If we can help parents in the services that we offer and encourage them to take care of their mental, physical, and spiritual health, their children will have better chance for healthy grieving.
When I cry, I don't want anybody around. I don't want to be hugged. I don't want to be said, oh, it's going to be okay. I don't like any of that because nobody really knows the situation as I do. Nobody knows how I'm feeling, so I don't like to be comforted.
I feel like it's important not to push people who are grieving to go to counseling or that kind of thing if they don't want it, because if they're not there of their own volition, they're not really going to benefit from it, because the whole time you'd be thinking like, oh, I don't want to be here, instead of how can I benefit from this.
There's a difference between telling somebody how you feel and them just saying, it's going to be okay, you'll be fine, and then somebody actually, after you saying what you had to say, giving you a hug and saying, hey, I've been there, I know. It's something different.
To review the information presented in this video, feel free to take a look at the brochure available in our office.
Remember that all individuals experiencing loss need additional tender love and care during the grieving process.
Children and students are no exception. Thank you for watching.